Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Another victory at home. The Sixers beat the Jazz. They are now 10-0 at the Wells Fargo Center, and they took care of business. Yes, it got way closer than it should have late, but the Sixers won. They won the basketball game. They built a hefty lead, and they got the job done. It's as simple as that. There's no reason to scream about the fourth quarter and to scream about how close it got. Who cares? They won the game, and let's put it in the W column. Before we dive more into this, I want to let you know about the promo code BROADS that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page. $20 off of your tickets. You can put that towards parking, towards beer. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. The Sixers had a 26-point lead at one point, and that second quarter run was insane. You had the Matisse Thybulle steal, which led to the alley-oop to Ben Simmons, and he gave you the flex, and then everyone was getting hype. James Ennis knocks down the threes, doing push-ups. The place was crazy. It was so loud in that building. Now, the end of the second quarter, there was a light push by the Jazz that I didn't love. I wish the Sixers stepped on their throats in that moment. But the Jazz did not go out without a fight. And they're not some crap garbage squad. They do have some pieces, so I expected them to make some sort of run. I didn't expect them to lay down and die because they have more talent than that. So I did expect some sort of run by them, and it happened in that back half of a second quarter. But to even get in that situation, for the Sixers to even have that 26-point lead at one point, you need to factor in what Al Horford did in that first quarter. He was so special. Now, this entire game, he was a professional. But that first quarter alone was spectacular. He had the chase down block on Bogdanovic. How about that? A 33-year-old giving it his all, running full speed down the court. SWAT! He also scored, 12 points in the first quarter? He was electric. He was a difference maker. And I bet my prop bet for the night was Al Horford, 1.5 threes. I hit the over. He had that in the first quarter for me. Let's go. No sweating that one out. That was awesome. When the Sixers needed someone late in the game, it was Tobias Harris. Brett Brown went with Toby for the closer role. I love it. I love it. You're starting to see him really find his identity on this team. And he has so many different ways to score. He can put his back to the basket. He can come off that little screen and hit a mid-range. He's attacking the rim more than ever. He had 26 points in this ball game. 16 in the second half, a good portion in the fourth quarter. He didn't have a fantastic shooting day. He did shoot the ball a lot for his 26 points, but I love his mentality right now. I love the fact that the Sixers put the ball in his hands and said, Toby, we paid you some big money. Go out and close the basketball game. Joel Embiid didn't have a good night, so who was going to do it? Ben Simmons isn't going to be shooting jump shots late to put this team in a position to win. You even had the fans, the fan base, which I can't believe this happened, honestly. This is so stupid by the fans in the stadium. The Sixers were not in control in terms of momentum. They were in control of the game because they had the lead, but in terms of momentum, the Jazz had all the momentum. They were screaming for Ben Simmons to shoot with so much clock left on the shot clock when the Sixers are trying to drain the clock, when they were trying to waste time and burn time on the clock. I don't understand. The fans screaming at Ben Simmons to shoot a three. Ben Simmons would never shoot a three there. That's dumb. I mean, if you understand the sport of basketball, why would you ever want Ben Simmons to take a three-point shot in that moment? It made no sense. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I was stunned. You got to be smarter than that as a fan base. Come on. Come on. That was embarrassing. But I love the fact that Toby stepped up and was that guy. He got to a spot mid-range, wasn't afraid to pop it. Some ugly shots involved, but he was willing. He was willing to make it happen. And he made more than there was ugly. There were a couple ones where, okay, Tobias, all right, maybe that one wasn't it. But all around, he found his groove and knocked down enough shots in that fourth quarter because the Jazz were coming. And that was without Mike Conley, who left the game. He left the game with some sort of injury. By the way, speaking of injury, this is another game where Josh Richardson did not play. So I don't know how much longer he's going to be out, but the Sixers continue to play without an entire roster, without their full starting five, I should say. Furkan Korkmaz got in the starting lineup once again, which irritates me, but he did not start the second half because Matisse Thybulle was getting good run. He was 3 of 3 from deep. He was creating energy. He was a pest defensively. He was knocking down his shots. He's the guy, him or James Ennis, over Furkan Korkmaz. Furkan had a brutal turnover out of a timeout. He's trying to dribble the ball and it hits off his foot. It's a backcourt violation. Are you kidding me? Right after the timeout? That's unacceptable. It really is. I don't care who it is. That can't happen. You got to be more focused than that. That's a lack of focus. You dribbling off your back foot. I mean, this is an NBA player. Well, he's in the NBA. I don't know if he is an NBA player or not. Ben's defense was spectacular. Steals after steals after steals. He's taking so much pride in being a great defender in this league. And it's phenomenal to watch. But he also did some great things offensively. 7 of 11 from the field. So he was willing once again to go to the rack. And you saw that early on. Super aggressive, not afraid to attack, going to the rim hard. The one thing that bothers me, though, after his 7 of 7 from the free throw line last game, he responds with a whopping 0 of 4. So very inconsistent right now from the charity stripe. He has to knock down his free throws. He has to. Let me repeat. He has to knock down his free throws. It's just that simple. But he did provide a great game at the end of the day with 14, 9, and 8. Some beautiful assists. Now, I spoke about my Al Horford prop bet. I also put in a prop bet for Ben Simmons. Over 7.5 assists. How about it? Knock down another bet of the night. Let's go. Sixers making me some cash as of late. So back to Joel Embiid. He did not have a good game. 16 points on 13 shots. He got into foul trouble. Rudy Gobert clearly caused some of that, without a doubt. I think Embiid just had an off day as well, but Rudy Gobert is known for his defense. I think it was Rudy Gobert's defense and Joel just having one of those nights. But he wasn't himself. He wasn't that dominant force. And I spoke about this. I'm not crushing the guy. I'm absolutely not crushing the guy. But he had the 0-point performance. He comes back and he's mean and he's aggressive and he's going into the paint and he's getting fouled against people who have no chance in guarding him. Now he's going up against Rudy Gobert. He has a test individually, and he didn't have his best performance. Now, I'm not crushing him. I'm just throwing it out there. It's something to put in your back of your mind. I mentioned how I wanted to see him do that against someone who can actually hold their own against him. I want to see what he can do against Marc Gasol the next time they play, which is on Sunday. He wasn't strong. It wasn't a good enough performance by Joel Embiid. And I think that's why you saw Tobias step up and be the closer. Normally it is Joel Embiid. If Joel had 28 points going into the fourth quarter or, even halfway through the fourth quarter, if we needed a bucket late, would it still be Tobias? It could have been. But my guess is it probably would have been Joel Embiid in the post and then him get doubled and then would have kicked out maybe to someone else. But I like the fact that Toby has the ball in his hands late. I want to continue to see that at times. Something I don't want to continue to see is Neto. I think I'm done with the Neto experience. He was minus 10, 1 of 7 from the field. Things went south with him in the game. Now, Trey Burke was not available. I mentioned Josh Richardson being out of the lineup. He was also not available to play. So that is why he did not get any run. I would have assumed he would because Brett Brown talked about how he doesn't want anyone to get stale. It's been a little bit since Trey Burke had some decent run, but my thing is, I don't think Neto is the guy. 14 minutes, minus 10 in this type of ball game, that's just unacceptable. It really is. It's not good enough, and I think Trey can do more. Both can't defend, so when it comes down to producing offensively, creating your own shot, coming off of a pick better, it's Trey Burke. I think Trey Burke is the better option when it comes to those two. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. Another game where the opponent turns the ball over 20 times. Don't you think that has to do with the Sixers defense? The Sixers defense is coming together. The Sixers team as a whole is coming together. They're finding their way. Even Al Horford stated after the game, because he was a great player in this basketball game. They interviewed him afterwards, and he was saying, now that we're playing together, now that we have a decent amount of games under our belt, I'm starting to realize where to be, where I'm going to find my shots. And that's huge. And that comes to the gelling part. It's a real thing, guys. Whether you want to hear it or not, it's a real thing. You don't just step onto the court, game one of a regular season with new faces, and it just clicks instantly. You got to find your spots. You got to figure out the way your teammates play. How do they play? What do they like to do? For example, Ben Simmons, when he was running full speed towards the basket, and he knows one of his teammates is behind him, he does that drop pass, which I don't necessarily love, but it's something he consistently does. Now teammates know that. Now some of the new faces understand that as they're running up the court, they will see it. They will know that is coming. If you never played with Ben Simmons before, you don't really expect it. Mike Scott knocked down a 3. How about it? Maybe that will get him going. I didn't think he was great in this one. Again, he is struggling. He is just absolutely struggling right now. But he did hit 1 3. You got to start somewhere. Maybe, just maybe, that'll be enough for him to find his game. But he really has been brutal. I am really underwhelmed with what I have seen so far out of Mike Scott. 13 of 26 from 3. Early, it was falling left and right. These guys could have been blindfolded, knocking down shots. Sharp shooters. It didn't continue throughout the entire game, but 50% from 3, things you love to see. I mean, that is just something you love to see. While the Jazz struggled big time. Donovan Mitchell, 6 of 19 from the field. He really couldn't get going at all. He's one of those players, I talk about it all the time. He will put up shots, put up shots, put up shots. So when he has a lot of points, you look at his field goal attempts and they almost match. Oh, wow, he had 34 shots. Well, he had 34 points. That's something that always happens with Donovan Mitchell when I look at the stat sheet after a game. And of course I'm biased because he pisses me off because of the entire Ben Simmons thing. He was such a child when all of that happened. He was such a baby going into games with t-shirts made. What a loser. Oh, he's such a loser. Oh, he's such a loser. Unreal. So the Sixers have some games coming up. And when I circle games on the schedule, Sunday is a big one. And it's a second half of a back-to-back. So that is going to be very crucial. Not only is it that back-to-back on the weekend, but Thursday they play the Wizards. Then it's the back-to-back. You have Denver coming to town for Tuesday, and then Thursday, the Boston Celtics. So there is a stretch of some really good teams coming up, and it will be a test. When it comes to the NBA, there's always a depressing loss like Toronto, right? The Toronto loss, we were all upset. The way it ended, it seems like something we've seen before. Then they play a team that they should dominate. They win the game, but you still feel so sad and upset about what happened in Toronto. Then they put a couple wins together, and that Toronto loss slowly moves away. It goes away. Now, as I'm looking ahead, there are some games where I really want to see what this Sixers team's made of. I want to see them get tested. I'm happy with the win against the Jazz. I think that they're a decent team. They're not Toronto level. I don't think that they're the level of the Boston Celtics either, or even the Denver Nuggets, but it's a good win. But you're going to get better talent coming up, and that's what it's all about. Not that I don't take pride in, say, what happens on Thursday if the Sixers take care of business and it's part of a big streak. Like right now, the Sixers are on a streak, so even if they are playing a bad team, I'm still happy if they win because it continues that confidence, it continues that swagger that they're going to need going into those big games. So I don't overlook them right now. I want them to dominate those teams. I'm intrigued by those matchups because they can slip up. I want to see them put their foot on the gas and continue to win basketball games. Who cares who they're playing? Who cares how bad the opponent is? Drive down on their throats and continue to gather wins. And then with those wins and with that confidence and with those reps as a team, then when those Boston Celtics games come up with the Toronto Raptors, let's see what it's all about. Let's get tested. I think the way Ben is playing defensively right now, it's so special to watch, and I want to continue to see the guy grow. One thing Brett Brown spoke about after the game is Ben growing as a point guard. The way that he sees the floor, the way that he passes, it has developed so much compared to when he was a rookie in this league and when it was his first year and he was playing legit NBA point guard when he never really played serious point guard. You know, point forward, he controlled the floor, but when you're so dominant at a high school level and even at LSU, it's different. It's not the same. When you are running point in the NBA, it's wild. It's like an entirely different game. You are starting to see him now develop that and him grow tremendously as a 23-year-old point guard with legit experience and legit minutes. One thing, by the way, as I speak about minutes, that blows my mind, and it seems like it gets thrown under the radar. We talk about Joel Embiid and his load management and how many minutes he logs, and Al Horford as a 33-year-old who needs rest some days, which is totally fair. I get that. He's got a lot of miles on the tires. Ben Simmons consistently logs high 30s, 40 minutes some nights, and he just goes. He just has a motor. He continues to play. He continues to battle it out. No one seems to really respect that. It's just the fact that he won't shoot. His jumper's garbage, all this, all that. He's frustrating, and I know he is, but it goes right under the radar that this kid will log in 40 minutes a night, and he will just work his ass off, play defense, make a couple steals, have big jams, and well, Joel Embiid's having load management tonight. Like, it's crazy. The kid just plays. He goes all out. He's never really lazy out there. His motor is to go, 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 go. And I appreciate it. I really do. I'll end on this point. Matisse Thybulle deserves legit run every single game. Every single game, the kid deserves more run. Last time I said that, he responded with an underwhelming performance, and I think that there will be games where he is underwhelming. If there's a game where he gives you 23 minutes, 2 points, maybe 1 steal, and he didn't impact the game as much as you'd like, that's probably going to happen because guess what? That's how it works in this league. That's how rookies are in this league. There's so much to develop. It's going to take more than just a handful of games, right? And in those games playing 20 minutes. It's going to take a while to really learn and understand. But with the way he can impact the game, you have to throw him out there. You have to have him playing. Because for that night where he is a little underwhelming, he'll also have the nights where he has 4 steals, 2 blocks, and 6 points. Or he'll have 3 3-pointers, he'll have an energizing play, and the crowd will go nuts. His upside is fantastic. I would have never expected it. You can go back to the draft night video where I never wanted to touch a Washington player again, where I didn't want a player who was just defense because at the time of that recording, I wanted to look at the Sixers and say, you need to grab a shooter. You can go back. I never thought that he would be to this degree, but he is, and I'm happy. But I want the kid to play. Like, if the options are Furkan Korkmaz or Matisse Thybulle, it's a no-brainer to me that the answer is Matisse Thybulle. It's a no-brainer. or James Ennis for right now. I mean, with the situation with Josh Richardson, it's got to be those two players over Furkan. And James Ennis is somewhat finding a role in that bench spot, and he is even closing games too, as he plays an important role later. If the answer is to keep James Ennis on the bench so he can stay in the spot that he's solidified as a role bench guy, that's fine. Then put Matisse in there. The love for Furkan blows my mind, and it will never not blow my mind. I'm sorry. The yellow shoes, the bad defense, the turnover after a timeout, it's never going to be outweighed by a three-pointer. He has bad games, and then he'll have one 17-point night, and everyone says, oh, here we go, Furkan. You're an idiot, bros. Okay. Alrighty. I just want to see more Matisse. I think he deserves it. He's been playing great. He's an impact guy. He really is. Impact guy. The way he can really change the game. The way other teams, the way they struggle when he's out there with the little poke and the hands. He was obnoxiously getting into foul trouble every single game early on. He's starting to realize it. He's starting to figure it out. He's understanding what NBA refs call, what they don't call, where he can sneak in there, when he can put his hands in, when he can't. He's learning. And the only way you continue to learn is to continue to have him out there. He has the skill set. He has the athleticism. Come on, Brett. Make it happen. But what I really want to happen is Josh Richardson to come back because the dude was balling. He was balling on another level, and he was really tearing it up, dropping 25 plus a night. I don't want him to lose that mojo. But, I don't think this is anything small at this point. He's missing legitimate time. Unless there's something wrong with the Sixers training staff or medical staff. I don't want to do this. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I will see you next time.